She loved him in silence for 7 years, watching from the shadows as he became the biggest rock star in America. She convinced herself he would never look twice at someone like her. But when he finally discovered her secret, he did not just accept her love. He claimed it on live television, in front of millions of people, with words that made the whole world stop breathing. This is a story about the walls we build and the people brave enough to tear them down. Before we begin, I need your help. We are so close to reaching 500 subscribers, and every single one of you makes these stories possible. If you are new here, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey. And I have a question for you. Where are you listening from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel, and it means the world to know you are out there. Now, let us begin. The backstage area of Madison Square Garden smelled like sweat, expensive cologne, and broken dreams. Emily Hart moved through the chaos with the precision of a surgeon, her clipboard clutched against her chest like armor. She had exactly 47 minutes to ensure that Viper's post-show meet and greet ran smoothly, and she refused to let anything derail her schedule. "Emily, the champagne order is wrong. They sent domestic instead of French," her assistant Marcus whispered urgently. "Storage room B. I had backup delivered this morning." Marcus stared at her like she had just performed a miracle. She hadn't. She had simply learned, after 5 years in this industry, that rock stars were predictable in their unpredictability. She checked her watch. 39 minutes now. The band would be finishing their encore, and then the real work would begin. Emily had been assigned to Viper 3 months ago, and every single day had been a test of her willpower. Not because of the demanding schedule or the ridiculous Ryder requests. No, her struggle was far more personal and infinitely more pathetic. Ryder Knox. She had loved him since she was 22 years old, sitting in the nosebleed section of a small venue in Brooklyn, watching an unknown band called Viper play their hearts out to a crowd of maybe 200 people. She remembered the exact moment she saw him grab the microphone stand like it owed him money, his voice raw and hungry and absolutely devastating. His body moved like a predator, all controlled power and barely contained energy. Even then, before the fame and the magazine covers and the screaming fans, he had been magnetic. That was 7 years ago. Now, at 29, Emily had built an entire career in music production, while carefully avoiding any direct contact with the one man who made her heart stutter. She had turned down assignments, switched departments, even considered moving to a different label. But fate, that cruel comedian, had finally caught up with her. The roar of the crowd signaled the end of the show. Emily straightened her spine and smoothed down her simple black dress. Professional, composed, completely unaffected. The band burst through the backstage doors in a wave of adrenaline and testosterone. Tommy Chen, the bassist, was already cracking open a beer. Jax Morrison, the drummer, had his arm around 2 women who definitely did not have backstage passes. And Leo Vance, the lead guitarist, was scrolling through his phone with the detachment of someone who had seen it all. And then there was Ryder. 6 feet 3 inches of trouble wrapped in black leather and tattoos. His dark hair was damp with sweat, pushed back from a face that belonged on a Greek coin. Sharp jaw, fuller lips than any man had a right to, and eyes so blue they looked photoshopped. His body was a monument to discipline, muscles carved like he spent as much time in the gym as he did on stage. The fitted black tank top he wore left absolutely nothing to the imagination. Emily's mouth went dry. She looked down at her clipboard. "Great show tonight," she said to the general vicinity, her voice perfectly neutral. "Meet and greet starts in 35 minutes. Marcus will show you to the green room." She turned to leave, but a hand caught her elbow. The touch was light, almost casual, but it sent electricity shooting up her arm. "Emily, right?" She looked up into those impossible blue eyes and felt her soul leave her body. He was looking at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. his head tilted slightly to one side. Yes, I'm your production liaison for this tour. I know who you are. His voice was a low rumble that she felt in her chest. We've worked together for 3 months, and you've never once looked me in the eye when we talk. Emily forced herself to meet his gaze. It was like staring into the sun. I'm looking at you now, only because I called you out on it. He smiled, and it was devastating. Dimples. The man had dimples. This was deeply unfair. Why is that? I'm focused on my job, Mr. Knox, that's all. Ryder. Excuse me? Call me Ryder. Mr. Knox makes me feel like I'm in trouble with the principal. He stepped closer, and she caught a hint of his scent beneath the sweat and stage smoke. Something dark and expensive. Am I in trouble, Emily? Yes. You've had me in trouble for 7 years, and you don't even know it. Only if you're late for your meet and greet, she said smoothly, stepping back. 33 minutes. She walked away, feeling his eyes on her back like a physical touch. Her heart was pounding so hard she was surprised it wasn't visible through her dress. Behind her, she heard Tommy laugh. Damn, Knox. I think that's the first woman in history who's completely immune to your charm. She's not immune, Ryder said, and there was something thoughtful in his voice. She's just really good at pretending. The meet and greet was an exercise in controlled chaos. Emily stationed herself in the corner, coordinating security and managing the flow of fans with military precision. She was good at her job, damn good, and she took pride in that. But she was also hyper-aware of Ryder Knox at every moment. He was different with fans than she expected. Patient, even kind. He posed for pictures without complaint, signed autographs with genuine smiles, and actually listened when people talked to him. A teenage girl burst into tears when she met him, and instead of being awkward about it, he pulled her into a gentle hug and told her that her Viper t-shirt was the coolest one he'd ever seen. Emily's heart, the traitor, melted a little more. He's something, isn't he? She turned to find Leo Vance standing beside her, a knowing smile on his tattooed face. He's good with the fans, she said carefully. That's not what I meant. Leo took a sip of his water. Ryder's been asking about you, a lot. Emily's stomach flipped. I'm sure he asks about all the production staff. He doesn't. Leo's smile widened. In fact, I've known him for 15 years, and I've never seen him this interested in someone who won't give him the time of day. It's kind of hilarious, actually. There's nothing hilarious about it. I'm professional with everyone. Yeah, but you don't blush when Tommy talks to you. Emily's hand flew to her cheek, which was horrifyingly warm. I'm not blushing. Sure you're not. Leo patted her shoulder. For what it's worth, he's not the guy the tabloids make him out to be. The whole Rockstar Playboy thing is mostly image. Ryder's actually kind of a nerd. He reads philosophy books on the tour bus and watches documentaries about marine biology. Why are you telling me this? Leo shrugged. Because you seem like someone who might care about the real person underneath the leather pants. He wandered off before she could respond, leaving Emily with a complicated swirl of emotions she absolutely did not have time to process. The after-party was at a private club in Manhattan, all velvet ropes and overpriced cocktails. Emily was technically off-duty, but she always stayed for the first hour of these events to handle any emergencies. Tonight, though, she was counting the minutes until she could escape. Being this close to Ryder for an extended period was torture. Every time she turned around, he was there, watching her with those piercing blue eyes. He didn't approach her again, but his attention was constant, a weight she felt on her skin like humidity. At 11:45, she decided she had fulfilled her professional obligations. She slipped out the side door and into the hallway, heading for the back exit that would take her to the street without having to navigate the crowd. She almost made it. Running away? Emily closed her eyes briefly before turning around. Ryder was leaning against the wall, arms crossed over his massive chest. In the dim hallway light, he looked like something out of a dream. A very dangerous, very attractive dream. "My shift is over," she said. "I'm going home." Without saying goodbye? I didn't realize goodbye was required. He pushed off the wall and walked toward her, each step deliberate and unhurried. "It's not required. I just thought we might actually talk for once. You know, like normal humans." "We're not normal humans. You're a rock star and I'm staff. There's a professional boundary." "Is that what this is?" He was close now, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. "Professional boundaries?" "Yes." "Then why won't you look at me when there's no one else around?" His voice was soft, almost gentle. "Why do you always find an excuse to leave the room when I enter? And why, Emily Hart, does your pulse jump every time I say your name?" Emily swallowed hard. "You're imagining things." "I'm not." He reached out and touched her chin, tilting her face up. The contact was electric, and she saw his eyes darken as he felt it too. "I've been watching you for 3 months, trying to figure you out. You're the only woman who doesn't want something from me, and it's driving me crazy. Maybe that's the problem. You're not used to women who don't throw themselves at you." "Maybe." His thumb traced along her jaw, feather-light. "Or maybe you're hiding something. Something you don't want me to see." Emily's breath caught. He was too close to the truth, and she needed to get out of here before she did something catastrophically stupid. "I need to go," she whispered. "Emily, please." Something in her voice made him step back. His hand dropped to his side, and she saw confusion and something else. Something almost like hurt flash across his face. "Okay," he said quietly. "Go. But this conversation isn't over." She fled into the night, her heart in her throat and her carefully constructed walls crumbling around her. In her apartment, alone with only her cat for company, Emily Hart finally allowed herself to cry. 7 years of loving him from afar, and now he was looking at her, really looking, and she had no idea what to do about it. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I got your number from Marcus. Don't fire him. I told him it was for work purposes. Ryder." She stared at the screen for a long moment. Another text came through. "For the record, I think professional boundaries are overrated. See you tomorrow, Emily Hart." She threw her phone across the bed and buried her face in her pillow. She was so screwed. 2 weeks later, Emily had perfected the art of strategic avoidance. She communicated with Ryder through emails, and Marcus whenever possible, kept their in-person interactions brief and surrounded by other people, and absolutely, positively, never responded to his texts. There had been many texts. "Good morning, Emily Hart. Did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts? Seems inefficient. Why do you think they call it a sound check when we're actually checking more than just sound? I tried to cook dinner tonight. The smoke alarm is very judgmental." She read every single one of them, lying in bed at night with her phone pressed to her chest like a lovesick teenager. But she never replied. Responding would be engaging, and engaging would be dangerous. The tour had moved to Los Angeles, and tonight was a private party at Tommy's house in the Hollywood Hills. Attendance was mandatory for senior production staff, which meant Emily had no excuse to skip it. She wore a simple red dress, nothing too revealing, and kept her makeup minimal. The goal was to blend into the background, do her job, and escape before Ryder could corner her again. The party was in full swing when she arrived. Music pumped through invisible speakers. Beautiful people draped themselves across designer furniture, and the pool glowed an otherworldly blue in the California night. Emily grabbed a glass of water and positioned herself near the kitchen, where she had a clear view of all exits. You look like you're planning an escape route." She turned to find a woman with pink hair and kind eyes smiling at her. Emily recognized her immediately. Sadie Morrison, Jax's sister, and the band's unofficial den mother. That obvious? Only to someone who's been there. Sadie leaned against the counter beside her. "You're Emily, right? The one Ryder won't shut up about?" Emily's cheeks heated. "I'm the production liaison." "Honey, I've known Ryder since he was 18 and sharing a one-bedroom apartment with 4 other guys. He doesn't talk about production liaisons. He talks about you." Sadie's smile was warm but knowing. "He says you're brilliant and organized and completely impossible to read. He also says you smell like vanilla and spring rain, which is either romantic or creepy, depending on your perspective." "It's not creepy," Emily said before she could stop herself. "Huh. So you do have feelings about him." Sadie looked delighted. "Look, I'm not here to play matchmaker. But Ryder's not the guy you probably think he is. The media built this image of him as some kind of womanizing bad boy, but that's not who he really is." "Then who is he?" Sadie considered the question. "He's a kid from nowhere who got really famous really fast and learned to wear armor to survive. The leather and the attitude and the smirk, that's all protection. Underneath, he's surprisingly tender. He cried during Inside Out, both times we watched it." Emily couldn't help it. She laughed. "There it is," Sadie said triumphantly. "An actual human emotion. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to stop my brother from doing something stupid with the pool toys." She squeezed Emily's arm and disappeared into the crowd. Emily stayed in her corner for another hour, watching the party swirl around her. She caught glimpses of Ryder across the room, always surrounded by people, always the center of attention. Every now and then, his eyes would sweep the space until they found her, and he would hold her gaze for a moment before returning to his conversation. It was maddening. It was also, she had to admit, thrilling. By midnight, the party had thinned out, and Emily decided it was safe to leave. She slipped through the sliding glass doors and onto the terrace, planning to circle around to the front of the house where the valets were waiting. She didn't expect to find Ryder sitting alone on a bench, staring up at the stars. He looked different out here, away from the crowd. Smaller somehow, despite his massive frame. More human. He was wearing a simple black t-shirt and jeans, his feet bare on the stone terrace. Emily should have retreated. Instead, something made her step forward. "I didn't know Rockstars stargazed." Ryder turned, and his face lit up with genuine surprise and pleasure. "Emily Hart, you're talking to me. Voluntarily. Don't get used to it. Too late. I'm already planning our next conversation." He patted the bench beside him. "Sit with me? Please?" Against every instinct she had, Emily sat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The night was warm and quiet, the sounds of the party muffled by distance. "Why do you always run from me?" Ryder asked finally, his voice soft. "I don't run from you." "You're lying." He turned to face her, and in the moonlight, his eyes were almost silver. "You've been running since the day we met, and I want to know why." Emily's hands twisted in her lap. "It's complicated." "Then uncomplicate it for me." She looked at him, really looked, and saw what Sadie had described. The armor was still there, but it was cracked, showing glimpses of something vulnerable underneath. "You terrify me," she whispered. Something shifted in his expression. "I would never hurt you." "I know. That's not what I mean." She took a shaky breath. "You terrify me because of how you make me feel. Because I've spent 7 years building walls, and you make me want to tear them all down." 7 years? Emily closed her eyes. She hadn't meant to say that. Forget it. 7 years. His voice was strange, almost reverent. "Emily, what do you mean?" She stood up abruptly, panic rising in her chest. I need to go. Emily, wait. But she was already moving, her heels clicking against the stone as she fled toward the house. She could hear him behind her, his footsteps quickening to match hers. She ducked through the kitchen, nearly colliding with a caterer, and found herself in a storage room behind the main living area. Perfect. She would hide here until he gave up and went back to the party. She pressed her back against a stack of boxes and tried to slow her breathing. The door opened. Ryder stood in the doorway, backlit by the party lights, looking like an avenging angel in black denim. You can't hide from me forever, he said. I can try. He stepped into the room, letting the door close behind him. In the sudden darkness, she could barely make out his silhouette. Emily. His voice was closer now. Tell me what you meant. 7 years. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Another step. You're not just any woman to me. You've been driving me crazy for months, and now you're telling me this started 7 years ago? She felt the tears coming and couldn't stop them. All those years of watching him from a distance, loving him in silence, convincing herself he would never look twice at someone like her. And now he was here, in the dark, demanding answers she wasn't ready to give. I was at your show, she choked out. In Brooklyn, back when Viper was still playing bars. I was in the back, and I watched you perform, and I just knew. I knew that you were going to be everything, and I knew that I was going to love you, and I've been running from that feeling ever since. Silence. Then his hands were on her face, gentle despite their size, tilting her head up. You're crying, he said, and his voice was rough with emotion. You're crying over me? Don't, she whispered. Don't make fun of me. Make fun of you, Emily? He laughed, but it was a broken sound. I've been losing my mind trying to get you to notice me. I've texted you stupid facts about animals. I've invented reasons to be in the same room as you, and I've thought about you every single night since we met. And you're telling me you've loved me for 7 years? I didn't say love. Yes, you did. His thumb brushed away her tears. You said you were going to love me. Were you wrong? She couldn't lie. Not anymore. No. Then why are we standing here in the dark crying when we could be doing something about it? Because you're you, and I'm me, and this can never work. Why not? Because rock stars don't fall for production assistants. Because your life is insane, and I like things organized and predictable. Because everyone will say I'm just another groupie who got lucky. I don't care what everyone says. His forehead pressed against hers. I care about you. I've cared about you since the moment you looked at your clipboard instead of my face and made me feel like the most invisible person in the room. She laughed despite herself, a wet, hiccuping sound. That's a strange thing to like about someone. I'm a strange guy. Ask anyone. He pulled back slightly, and she could feel him smiling in the dark. Emily Hart, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. What? Can I kiss you? Her heart stopped, restarted, stopped again. That's a terrible idea. I know. Is that a no? She should say no. She should push him away and walk out of this storage room and never look back. She should protect herself from the inevitable heartbreak that came with loving someone like Ryder Knox. Instead, she grabbed the front of his shirt and pulled him down to her. The kiss was nothing like she imagined. It was better. His lips were soft but demanding, his hands sliding into her hair with a desperation that matched her own. He tasted like expensive whiskey and possibility, and she never wanted it to end. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers again. I've wanted to do that for 3 months, he murmured. Only 3 months? I didn't know you existed before then. That's my only excuse. She laughed, And he kissed her again, softer this time, sweeter. "So what now?" she asked when they separated. "Now I'm going to date you, properly, like a normal person." "You don't know how to be normal." "Then teach me." He grinned, that devastating dimpled grin that had ruined her for all other men. "I'm a fast learner." Emily looked at him, this beautiful, impossible man who had somehow crashed through all her defenses without even trying. "Okay," she said. "But I have rules." "Of course you do. I'd be disappointed if you didn't." "Rule 1. We keep this private for now. No public announcements. Done. Rule 2. Our professional relationship stays professional. I won't have people saying I got my job because I'm sleeping with the talent. Fair. Although technically we haven't slept together yet." "Ryder. Right. Professional. Got it." Rule 3. She took a deep breath. "You have to be patient with me. I've spent 7 years building walls, and they're not going to come down overnight." His expression softened. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her forehead, with a tenderness that made her want to cry all over again. "I waited 3 months just to have a conversation with you," he said. "I can wait as long as you need." From the party, she heard Tommy calling Ryder's name. "You should go," she said. "Come with me." "I can't. Not yet. Someone might see." He looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. "Okay, but I'm texting you later." "You've been texting me for weeks." "Yeah, but now you have to respond." He stole one more kiss, quick and playful. "See you tomorrow, Emily Hart." He was gone before she could respond, slipping back into the party like nothing had happened. Emily stayed in the storage room for another 5 minutes, pressing her fingers to her lips and wondering how her carefully ordered life had just gotten so beautifully, terrifyingly complicated. Her phone buzzed. "Best hiding spot kiss of my life. Can't wait for the next one. Ryder." She stared at the screen. Then, for the first time in 3 months, she typed a response. "You're ridiculous." His reply was immediate. "You love it." She did. God help her, she absolutely did. Dating Ryder Knox was nothing like Emily had expected. She had braced herself for whirlwind chaos, for paparazzi dodging and dramatic declarations. Instead, she got text messages about his attempts to cook pasta, and video calls where he showed her documentaries about deep-sea creatures. "Did you know that anglerfish males basically become parasites attached to females?" he said one night, his face illuminated by his laptop screen. Emily looked up from her own work. "Is there a metaphor here I should be worried about?" "What?" "No. I just think it's wild. Nature is weird." He grinned at her through the camera. "I miss you. You saw me 4 hours ago. And I still miss you." It had been 3 weeks since the storage room kiss, and Emily was beginning to understand why people wrote songs about being in love. Everything felt brighter, more vivid. Even the stress of the tour seemed manageable when she knew Ryder would be waiting for her at the end of the day. They had kept their relationship secret, as agreed. Emily still maintained her professional demeanor in public, and Ryder played along, though she caught him smirking every time she called him Mr. Knox in front of the crew. The rest of the band knew, of course. Jax had walked in on them kissing in a dressing room and nearly had a heart attack. Tommy had started a betting pool on how long they could keep it quiet. Leo had simply nodded and said, "Finally." But to the outside world, Emily Hart was still just a production assistant, and Ryder Knox was still the untouchable Rockstar. Until the night Ryder almost burned down his rental house. Emily's phone rang at 11 p.m., and she answered to the sound of a smoke alarm. "Don't panic," Ryder said immediately, which was never a good sign. "What did you do?" "I wanted to surprise you with homemade dinner. I found a recipe online, and it seemed simple enough." "Ryder, what did you do?" "The chicken caught fire." "How does chicken catch fire?" Apparently, you're not supposed to cook it on high heat with olive oil in a dry pan. There was a clattering sound, then running water. Okay, the fire's out, but the kitchen might need some work. Emily was already grabbing her keys. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I have it under control. You set poultry on fire. That is the opposite of under control. 20 minutes later, she stood in Ryder's kitchen, surveying the damage. It wasn't as bad as she'd feared, but there was a scorched pan in the sink, black marks on the ceiling, and a lingering smell of burnt olive oil. Ryder stood in the middle of it all, looking genuinely remorseful. He was wearing an apron that said, "Kiss the cook," which only made the scene more absurd. In my defense, he said, the internet made it look easy. Emily stared at him. Then she started laughing. She laughed until tears streamed down her face, until her stomach hurt, until Ryder's expression shifted from confused to amused to something softer. I love you, he said suddenly. Emily stopped laughing. What? I love you. He said it like it was the simplest thing in the world. I know it's only been 3 weeks, but I've known for longer than that. I think I knew that first night when you ran away from me at the party and I couldn't stop thinking about you. You make me want to be better, Emily. Calmer, more real. I love you, and I don't care if it's too soon to say it. Emily's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. You just burned down your kitchen, she managed. Yes, for you. That's the worst declaration of love I've ever heard. But is it working? She looked at him. This ridiculous, beautiful man in his scorched apron, standing in his destroyed kitchen with that hopeful look on his face. I love you too, she said. I've loved you for 7 years, remember? You're just catching up. His face broke into the biggest smile she had ever seen. He crossed the kitchen in 2 strides, swept her into his arms, and kissed her until neither of them could breathe. Best night ever, he murmured against her lips. You literally started a fire. And I told you I loved you. The fire was just for ambiance. She laughed again, and he held her tighter. And for the first time in 7 years, Emily Hart felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The American Music Awards were 2 weeks away, and Viper was nominated for Artist of the Year. Emily had been working around the clock to coordinate their performance, their interviews, their wardrobe. It was exhausting and exhilarating, and everything she loved about her job. What she didn't love was keeping her relationship with Ryder secret. Every day it got harder. Every time she had to pretend he was just her employer. Every time she saw photos of him with other women at promotional events. Every time a tabloid speculated about which model he was supposedly dating. She knew none of it was real, but it still stung. We should go public, Ryder said one night, curled up with her on his couch. You know why we can't. I know why you think we can't. But Emily, I'm tired of pretending you don't exist. I want to hold your hand in public. I want to take you to dinner without wearing disguises. I want everyone to know you're mine. People will say I'm using you for fame. People are idiots, and anyone who actually knows you knows that's ridiculous. My career could suffer. Or it could thrive. You're incredible at what you do. That won't change because we're together. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly. Let me think about it, she said. He kissed her temple. Take all the time you need. The night of the American Music Awards arrived with the usual chaos of limousines, red carpets, and screaming fans. Emily worked from behind the scenes, as always, coordinating Viper's logistics while trying not to think about the fact that in a few hours, Ryder might be accepting the biggest award of his career. She watched the show from backstage, her heart swelling with pride as Viper performed their latest hit. Ryder commanded the stage like he was born for it, his voice soaring over the crowd, his body moving with that controlled power she had fallen in love with all those years ago. When the performance ended, he came backstage flushed and grinning. Good? He asked, even though he knew the answer. Perfect, she said, and his smile widened. The ceremony continued. Emily tried to focus on her duties, but her eyes kept drifting to the monitor showing the main stage. Finally, the moment arrived. Best Artist of the Year. And the winner is Viper. The backstage area erupted in cheers. Emily watched as Ryder, Tommy, Jax, and Leo made their way to the stage, the crowd going absolutely wild. Her heart was so full she thought it might burst. Ryder reached the microphone and the arena fell silent. Wow, he said, looking at the award in his hands. This is incredible. I want to thank our fans, our team, everyone who believed in us when we were playing bars for 20 people. He paused, and Emily saw something shift in his expression. But tonight, I need to say something else. Something personal. The audience murmured. Behind her, Emily heard Marcus whisper, "What's he doing?" "There's someone in my life who I've been keeping secret," Ryder continued. "Not because I'm ashamed, but because she needed time. She needed to trust that this was real, that I wasn't going anywhere." He looked directly into the camera, and Emily felt like he was looking right at her. "Emily Hart, I know you're watching. I know you're probably having a heart attack right now, but I can't stand here in front of millions of people and not acknowledge the woman who changed my life. Oh God. Oh no. Oh yes. Emily has loved me in silence for 7 years, Ryder said, his voice rough with emotion. 7 years of watching from a distance, of convincing herself she didn't deserve to be seen. And I spent 3 months trying to get her to look at me. Really look at me, because I knew from the first moment I met her that she was special. The audience was absolutely silent, hanging on every word. I used to think this award was the best thing that could happen to me. But it's not. The best thing that happened to me is a woman with a clipboard and a rule about not dating rock stars and the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. He held up the award. This is great, but Emily, you're everything. He turned to look off stage, and Emily realized with horror and joy that he could actually see her standing in the wings. Come up here, he said. No, she whispered, even though no one could hear her. Emily Hart, get out here before I come and get you myself. The crowd started chanting her name. Emily. 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 Marcus gave her a gentle push. Go on. This is the most romantic thing I've ever seen, and if you don't get out there, I will personally never forgive you. On shaking legs, Emily walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding, the crowd deafening. But all she could see was Ryder, standing there with his award and his smile and his heart on his sleeve. You're insane, she said when she reached him. Probably. He handed his award to Tommy and took both her hands. But I'm also completely in love with you, and I'm done hiding it. Everyone's watching. Let them watch. He pulled her closer. I denied what I felt for too long. I played it cool. I pretended I wasn't losing my mind over you. I let you set all the rules because I was afraid of pushing too hard. But I'm not afraid anymore. You're my muse, Emily Hart. You're my everything, and I'm ready to be the man you deserve. Emily looked into his eyes, those impossible blue eyes that had haunted her dreams for 7 years. She thought about all the walls she had built, all the rules she had made, all the reasons she had convinced herself this could never work, and then she let them all go. I love you, she said, loud enough for the microphone to pick up. The crowd roared. Ryder's face split into that devastating grin. Yeah? Yeah. You ridiculous, fire-starting, documentary-watching disaster of a man. I love you. He kissed her then, right there on stage, in front of millions of viewers and screaming fans, and her colleagues and everyone who had ever doubted that a production assistant could capture the heart of a rock star. It was messy and perfect, and absolutely nothing like she had planned. When they finally broke apart, Ryder pressed his forehead to hers. "Best night ever," he whispered. "You keep saying that." It keeps being true. Behind them, Tommy cleared his throat into the microphone. "So, I think we're supposed to thank our label now? But honestly, this was way better. We love you, Viper fans." The ceremony cut to commercial, and Emily found herself surrounded by the band, all of them hugging her and laughing and telling her it was about time. Later that night, in the quiet of Ryder's hotel room, they lay tangled together, still in their formal clothes, too exhausted and happy to move. "I can't believe you did that," Emily murmured against his chest. "I can't believe you came out on stage. You hate attention." "I love you more than I hate attention." She lifted her head to look at him. "What happens now?" "Now we live our lives, together, in public, in private, whatever you want. I'm not going anywhere. People are going to talk. Let them. I've got thick skin." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Besides, do you know what the headline is going to be tomorrow?" "What?" "Rockstar falls for production assistant, a 7-year love story." He grinned. "That's going to get a lot of clicks." Emily laughed and kissed him, soft and sweet. "I love you, Ryder Knox." "I love you too, Emily Hart." He pulled her closer, and she felt his smile against her hair. "Now and for the next 7 years, and the 7 after that, and however many we have after that. That's a lot of years." "Not enough," he said. "Not nearly enough." Outside, the city sparkled with a million lights, and somewhere, someone was probably already writing their love story for the tabloids. But in this room, in this moment, it was just the two of them, the rock star and the production assistant, the man who learned to be real, and the woman who taught him how, and a love that was 7 years in the making and absolutely, perfectly, worth the wait. After 7 years of silence, Emily finally said the words she had buried deep inside her heart. And Ryder, the man who could have had anyone, chose her in front of millions. But here is the question that keeps me thinking. Was Emily right to hide her feelings for so long? Or did she waste 7 years that could have been spent with the love of her life? And what about Ryder? Did he push too hard when he called her out on stage? Or was that exactly what Emily needed to finally let her walls down? Some people say love should be patient. Others say love should be bold. Emily was patient. Ryder was bold. And somehow they found each other anyway. I want to know what you think. If you were Emily, would you have hidden your feelings for 7 years? Would you have kept those walls up, protecting yourself from the possibility of heartbreak? Or would you have taken the risk earlier, knowing that every day of silence was a day you could never get back? And if you were Ryder, would you have made that declaration on live television? Would you have risked everything, your reputation, your privacy, your heart, for a woman who kept running away from you? The truth is, love stories like this do not happen every day. Two people who see each other, really see each other, through all the fear and the fame and the walls we build to protect ourselves. Maybe you have been an Emily, loving someone in silence, convincing yourself they are out of reach. Maybe you have been a Ryder, trying to break through to someone who will not let you in. Either way, I believe this story found you for a reason. Drop a comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me whose side you are on. Tell me if you believe in 7-year love stories, or if you think Emily should have spoken up sooner. Because the best part of sharing these stories is hearing from you. And if this story made you feel something, if it made your heart race or brought tears to your eyes or just made you smile, then you know what to do. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Because there are more stories coming. Stories of love and heartbreak and second chances and moments that change everything. You do not want to miss what comes next. See you in the next one.